So don't get me wrong, but I will put a child at the head of a merchant's shop. No need to kick poor old Araknie into the ground, I'm just talking about Recettear. A game about debt, taxes, capitalism, and the overbearing weight that is everyday life and responsibilities. No biggie. Oh, you meant to know what the gameplay is? Okay, sorry, I misunderstood. But first, the story. So it's about a deadbeat dad that has accumulated an enormous amount of debt and leaves his 9-year-old daughter to fend for herself. That's even worse than the general themes of it. So she has to, with the help and constant pressures of a fairy, pay back the debt by using his old business to her advantage. She's part of the agency of very respectable loan sharks that your father asks money to. So the objective of the game is to run a shop and pay back a weekly debt until you arrive at day 35. What carried it was the humorous vibes of the dialogue. I mean, you can't have a depressing serious story with this art style. If you remember when I told about Beholder, now that's a game that warrants being constantly serious. But yeah, it's a highly political and satirical plot with dialogue that makes fun of most Japanese salaryman norms and money-making opportunities. Because remember this important lesson in life, even if it's legal and everybody does it, doesn't mean it's good. And don't worry, you've got also plots about selling things at an incredibly high marked up price and characters making fun of pyramid schemes. As you should. And a lot of other minutiae, but I'll let you discover it. So Recettear is divided into two main game modes. The first and the one that will save your hide is all the town exploration and your merchant activity management. You can go around to explore and start events, like in the pub, the church and the plaza. These places are mostly done to encounter people and forward relationships with them. That's important because Recette can fight, so she has to get the services of mercenaries, and you'll have to pay them before departing. More on that later. Also, you've got places like the market and your merchant guild. Both have unique items you can find, but the guild is more important because you can also fuse items in there. It's a very helpful system because you will be able to create unique stuff you can find anywhere else, and you can sell this for a lot. And here's the meat and potatoes of the game. Basically, you have a deadline each week where you need to pay back part of the debt. It goes up exponentially each time until the last one where you need to pay 500,000 whatever they call the game money here. If you can't, you lose the game. This is a bit of a rogue type title, very lightly so you get to retain all the progress you did as a merchant, including all the betterments you've made to your shop. Also all the items you had and your merchant level. The latter is important because it permanently unlocks features. But here's a big problem and the reason why in general I only play rogue games with combat as their main thing and avoid any type of managerial sides. You have to start all your game from day one if you fail. So it's gonna be a long way back to where you were the more you've made progress last time. Sure, it's faster because of all the permanent things you have, but if you're the last week it's gonna be at least a good 10 hours to get back there. I know, this is just how a game like Recettear works, but I ain't about that life. Fortunately, you can save anytime you want in the town, so what happened is that I failed once in the second week and I restarted. Once I understood what was going on, I just did all separate saves for each of the days, and reloaded to an appropriate time from when I could still make enough money. Because the money making depends on two factors. First of all, you've got your haggling skills and have to understand the type of consumer you have in your shop. You usually can go maximum to 130% of the original price with anybody, so start from there and then work your way down. Some are more patient than others, so getting a sale at the first try is important. Also because the game rewards you with extra points if you do, and if done many times in a row you get bonuses. Those go into your merchant level and you know that's important, so it's all good. The other is something I don't really like that much. Luck. Pure luck. Nothing but luck. The people that will go into your shop are a bit randomized and a bit depends on how you dress your place. So they will be willing to pay less or more depending on how it looks. How to understand the people? You can't. Recettear is missing any sort of relationships log. This is important also for getting adventurers and nope, just a guessing game. But until you pay your debt, you can really use your money liberally, so you have to wait to access endless mode. Because yeah, there's a bunch of modes you unlock once you finish this, with the only one I engage for a bunch of extra time being endless. The only one that doesn't remove your progress, so the only one I really wanted to even engage with. And yeah, no relationships chart unlocks even then, so I was really out of luck at this point. I don't use online guides, so after a bunch of experimentation, that was it. Going to an adventurer guild starts your voyage in a dungeon. You'll have to prepare, you can see all the people that offer their paid services to you and also bring some stuff with you. Since these people have always their base equipment, bring stuff they can equip and be careful. They work a bit like classes, so they have stuff only them can have. The only way for them to get permanent upgrades is to sell them said item in the shop. It seems difficult, but it's gonna happen more often than what you think, so it's not that bad. Also bring food items that will bring back your health and skill points. And the dungeon crawling is pretty standard. There's multiple places you can go to, and you get to explore 5 floors, and at the end you get a boss. It's randomly generated, so it's not my favorite stuff. I like pre-made level design. Random generation has to be truly inspired to wow me, but here is where you'll find treasures, equipment and ingredients, the latter of which are important for the fusion system. But yeah, this is the most similar to a roguelike Recettear gets. There's traps of various kinds, like sleeping around, being paralyzed, teleportation spells, motion spawners, stuff of that kind. Also floor effects, both good and bad. Things like double XP for you on kill, but also all enemies have double defense, faster movement for everybody, and more. Aside from that, the combat is very generic. Only the bosses get a bit more interesting since they have unique attacks. You'll have to understand how to make yourself scarce or maybe solve how really you're going to attack them, or where. Honestly, they were my favorite part of these floors. They get really creative with them and repeat very rarely. And when they do, they don't do a recolor, they just put 2 of the same previously encountered boss. I find that interesting because they're not stronger in any way, it's just more difficult to maneuver around them. But yeah, if it wasn't that they were pretty useful to the merchant side of the game, I would have skipped them. I was playing it for the first time, so I did them plenty, but apparently you use your shop, the merchant guild, and the market to basically never do them. I don't know, probably have to put many hours in it and understand it really well, just be aware that it's something you can do. But I finished the game, it's just that there's more, much more, and I couldn't do it all. Maybe, possibly, surely, or maybe not. Several hours after the credits, I just didn't know how to get more characters or unlock the other dungeons. Over 30 minutes of exploring about in the entire town and no events were happening anymore. I don't know even if that's a possibility or I've done all there was to it and Recettear just ends there. The game is too obscure about it. I felt like there was nothing else to do, so I stopped. I saw credits anyway, I'm not obsessed with going 100% with games. Not a fault this one, since it's all extra stuff. I've played a good 20 hours, I'm good, that's plenty of time to enjoy a title. Got that, game designers, and your love of open world titles these days? Learn some level design and stop with this trash, thanks. The bad stuff is something else entirely, stuff that I talked about earlier. Graphically is nothing special, and that's because it is a super indie Japanese title from 2007. At least they knew to not make everything in 3D and did some 2D art for the characters and dialogue. But yeah, it's pretty unremarkable. I don't know how to speak of it otherwise. In general, already I'm not impressed with 3D graphics, I need some striking visuals for them to really impress me. They can even be old, but if they have something cool or unusual about them, I'm happy. I've played too many great looking games to be impressed anymore. This is pretty devoid of any art style, it's just mostly very low resolution stuff. And even the 2D elements are pretty generic. Have you seen those Japanese dungeon crawlers on Steam? To me they all look the same or close enough, and this is just like that. The music was surprisingly varied and nice. A team of 3 people did it and I'm glad they did. You've got your shop team, town team and many different dungeon tracks. The important part about the dungeons is that you don't get a single melody for every one of them. It's dependent on the tile set, so it can change from adventure run to the next. Very good. Also the final dungeon theme is incredible, didn't expect it at all. I will not spoil it or make you listen to it, don't worry. It was a very difficult place too, so it really felt like an epic journey coming to a conclusion. Talking about those, I will say the Recettear and item shop's tale is an honest 7 out of 10. Good stuff all around, hampered by repetitive mechanics that I will never like that much. It's a pity because I like the management plus dungeon crawling side of the game. And apparently this is the best one of them all, so unless I discover something that really passed me by, this will remain the only one. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!